In this painting, your eye goes straight to the golden light. But that glow does not come from the brightest spots alone. It comes from the warmth moving through the entire scene, and for one unusual step that I'm gonna take before I add the shadows. Hi, I'm Beatriz. Welcome back to the studio. For today, we're gonna be doing things backwards. I'm gonna apply the colors of the light first, then I'm gonna protect them. I'm gonna paint around it, and by the time that we remove the masking, our glow will be there. Let me show you. I'm wetting almost the entire paper, leaving only the small area of the sky dry. Then I'm covering everything with a light wash of Queen Gold, because during golden hour, the color of the light touches the entire scene. Then I add in a little extra color on the areas where I will be using masking fluid, because the masking will lead some of it later. And when everything is dry, I can paint the small piece of sky. At the time of the day, the sky has already lost much of the strong blue. So I'm using burgundy blue with some diluted neutral tint. If you would like a little extra help while painting this one, the complete paint along package is available in Open Studio on Patreon. You can scan the QR code on the screen, and I will also leave the link in the pinned comment. While the sky finished drying, I'm gonna go ahead and start bringing my masking fluid. I'm gonna pour some of it over here because I'm planning on using a brush. So now I'm applying my masking fluid. And yes, the traditional way is we put masking fluid on top of white paper to save the white of the paper. But masking fluid can also be put on top of color. The only difference is that when you remove it, some of that color obviously will come up with the masking. What I'm doing here right now is protecting my light so that I can apply all my shadows freely. Alright, so I'm done applying masking. This time I'm not protecting the white paper. What I'm protecting is the color of the light. Now my masking has dried. You can tell where I put it because it looks darker. I put a few on the flowers. That was optional. However, for the things that are hanging, I do encourage you to use it. I'm gonna wet a little bit on this roof. And then in the areas that is giving a little more light, we're going to come with burnt sienna. This area here where it's in the very edge has a little bit more light. I'm coming with Perylene Scarlet where I can blend in the paper. I have a secondary roof over here, but it's more in shade. So I'm just going to come with the same colors. I like to wet. When I have these larger areas, when I apply my color, I got less chances of getting strikes. This is burnt sienna with burnt amber. Then I'm coming with a little bit of the neutral tint. This is the one by Sminky because it's a little bit warmer. I'm going to put a little bit of this. Well, let's wet because I want it to blend in. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I'm going to be painting around this window. So roofs, there are other roofs straight with the neutral tint, but I keep it in mind where the straight line will be of this building. All right, so now I'm coming with the neutral tint around the basket, so almost like negative painting. Then the hanging tint I paint over because I have the masking fluid, so I don't have to worry about it. Personally, I don't want to put a whole lot of detail here. Our focal point is this, the basket and the light. But I need to put enough information so that we know that these are buildings. I'm coming now with my neutral tint. I'm going to come here with the Perylene Scarlet mixed with the neutral tint. And then I'm going to put a few impressions of roofs. And with the same combination, these roofs are slightly too light. I still want to keep the part a little bit lighter. So I'm coming with that, bring some of the color, rinse my brush, and then spread this so that some of the other one that we use still shows too. And now I'm going to put a glaze or neutral tint over all of this. This is a very thin glaze, so a little bit of that glow of the yellow will come through. While all that dries, it's a perfect time to put a little bit of the underpainting on our basket. So I'm coming here with transparent orange by Sminky. And I'm gonna put it light. This is my underpainting, it's not my final colors. Because it is just my underpainting, I'm coming with my lightest green. This is the green gold. And then I'm gonna put a few, and later on we will darken them. So I drop some, rinse my brush, tap. It's actually not a whole lot around here. So this area I'm gonna leave them my blacks that I mix by mixing French ultramarine and brown sienna. And now we're gonna go ahead and finish our window. So again, be mindful of being pretty straight. That's important. And we will have to let this dry completely, and then we will come and do a little bit on the frame of the window. And now with the neutral tint, nothing major, just a little bit of shade here and there. Right now we're gonna put, this will be all in shade, so I wet. Come with the same colors, burnt umber and brown sienna, but I added a little bit of the neutral tint as well. We're gonna cover the whole thing. And with the same colors, we're gonna have this time a hard edge shadow that is gonna come till around here, but then we keep the straight lines from the building there and here. It's okay to go over this because this is gonna be completely black. However, around the flowers, I'm gonna be more careful. I don't have masking everywhere, so wet, tap with water. And now that this is dry, I'm gonna wet in this part. This part is where the sun is hitting, so it's gonna have a little bit more of the golden glow. I come with the transparent orange, and I accentuate the glow a little bit more. Once I have it on, I go from more to less. That's why I wet, so that I have a seamless transition. We're gonna paint this window. This is neutral tint diluted. Yes, this one here we use black, but it's because it was in the shade, while this other one is receiving the light straight, so it will be a little bit lighter. I still have these colors on my palette, so this is the perfect time to start making this window. So I go with a color a little bit darker here to separate the window from the wall. A little bit more here. Same colors, just a little bit darker. Let's just put a little bit of a shadow here. And finally with this color and a little bit of the orange, yeah, let's try. I'm gonna make a few shadows, like something that is in this other part is reflecting and making shadows on this wall. Finally, for the rest of my shadows, I'm coming with burnt umber, perylene scarlet, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of indigo. We want them strong, but in the brown size still. Okay, that should be enough. And because I have masking everywhere, I can freely go and wet to put all my shadows. Have to be a little careful around here. Not everything has been masked by the basket, because our light will not look brighter till I give them something dark to push against. We need to make sure that our shadows here are dark enough. Once again, be careful around the edge of the building. This building is forward. We want to push that one back, and then we have, of course, the others. So make sure that you get your line very straight. And right now, our painting probably looks a lot less luminous than what it did a minute ago. And that's okay. That's what we wanted it to be right before we remove our masking. I have small areas here unmasked, so I bring in all my colors and top of the masking so that I can cover those. Now we're gonna allow all of this to dry. The painting may look dark right now, but this is the moment that the light has been waiting for. When we remove the masking, we will see if the warm tones underneath can carry the glow. Right now, all these shapes look a little separate, so I probably will need to connect them. But before I do that, I'm gonna put this bracket where the basket is hanging from, because it's pretty dark, and that will make this light look even brighter. So for that, I'm coming with a mix of burnt umber, neutral tint, And indigo is almost a black, but it has a tiny little bit more of a brown undertone. So we start building the 3D shape. This part over here is dark. I'll put some of the same color here, let it dry, and then we will come back with the darks. So it's kind of like a hook comes here a little bit. So in the meantime, while that dries, I can go ahead and come with my dark color here and start building this bracket. We have this coming up. So let's just put it over there. Okay, now this has dried enough. Let's just do the turning while this dries. Be careful, you can pick up the color. Move it. So let's start right here. I go this way and I come wider. I'm gonna allow some of that color to show. Okay, then we're gonna do the main one that goes from there all the way to the end. Part here on the bottom is hidden by the light, so I'm gonna bring on the bottom here some of the transparent orange, but I'm gonna bring it a little bit stronger here, and then the thing that goes onto the wall. I'm gonna turn this color slightly more onto the brown, meaning I'm gonna bring a little bit more of the burnt umber into my mix. Let's connect all of these. And finally, I go back to my darks to anchor this to the wall strongly. So dark, looking really good, and more art shadows are making more and more sense. Let's just work on the basket. This is burnt sienna, and we're gonna mix it with some of the orange. All right, get brush with only water. We wet the place where we wanna have the highlight right there. Come with this color and start giving shape to this basket. Go with the one that only has water, tap, tap, tap. I'm gonna wet another highlight that I have here. And as I mentioned before, I still have the masking here for this hanging greenery. I have not removed it yet because I wanna paint this freely. We have another highlight here. This will be darker, but and some of this will be dark with green. So I bring it up. I go with water and I put it kind of like in a stepping. To my mix, I bring more burnt umber so that we can put the shadows on the basket that is gonna give them the shape. So I have a big shadow here. Let me start here so I can rest my hand. Goes a little bit here too. And we have another one over here. Some of these shadows obviously are gonna be done by the flowers, but they are giving shape, as mentioned, to our pot. So I go there. Before I keep going, let me tap, 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 tap. Actually, I'm gonna start by wetting so that I can have a stepping point, then put some of these shadows to give depth to the flowers. I'm fully aware that this looks pretty odd right now. Hanging there, everything is gonna make sense in a minute. So let's just pick up a little bit of this to do the bottom part. This is not as dark, only here. So let me take advantage of this before I remove the masking. Go like that, rinse, and then tap, tap. All right, before I remove the masking, I wanna do one thing. This is too even, and at the bottom, it has a lot of darks. So I'm gonna wet, and I don't want to darken it, but I wanna break it up a little bit. So it will be, if anything, a little dark where the two walls separate, and then maybe a little here and there at the bottom. I'm just gonna wet here. Make sure I don't activate all my dark, then drop some of that color. And that I can do it, since I have those colors, I can bring these shadows, connect them more. And now I'm gonna remove all my masking that I have left. This is the last of it. And we can start painting our flowers. The wall is glowing now, and now we need to do the same thing with the flowers. We need to make them be part of the scene and not feel like they are separated. I love how everything carries that glow, golden glow of the light. Now I'm just gonna go with a little bit of permanent rose, and I'm gonna drop where I wanna have a couple of those pink flowers. I can go with one over there, go with water. The important thing now is not to put too much detail onto the flowers. We don't want that to be the story here. Maybe some here looking at us, and again we may come back and darken this up a little bit in a minute. Now what I'm going to do is I'm coming with green gold. We're not going to put a lot of detail into these flowers because the whole idea here is how they glow with the light. So drop a little, tap with water. Switching, this part over here is going to be some of the darkers. I'm coming with my Perylene green. This is going to make the flowers pop, plus it will make sense with the shadows that we starting applying. I'm going to do one little at a time, then I come with water, tap. I'm letting these two blend and the bottom with these other shadows, and then also here as I go up. But this is also making our basket feel more round instead of flat. So it's also giving us volume. Then bring a transitional green, sap green in this case. As we go into the shaded area, we will go darker, and we will have to darken some of these lighter flowers. But for the moment being, I just dropping my colors, making sure that they blend with the shadows that we started applying so that they make sense. And we will change colors in a minute. Drop some here because this is where the basket starts feeling less fall between greenery and shadows, as we said. Bring our sap green, put a little bit of them here and there. This is some greenery going up. We're gonna rinse our brush and then tap so these two mingle in the paper. Let's move here. I have my Perylene green, but a little bit more diluted. And let's just put a couple things of dark here. I don't want too much, but I need to give some shape to this part of the basket. So go like that and then tap with water. Now, my sap green, a little bit more diluted. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop kind of like dots, nothing major. I don't wanna put a whole lot of detail. You see how everything is taking shape? By putting very little detail, just allowing our darks to give us the volume and make the flowers. Put a few here too. This is probably some of the shapes that we see on the wall. Now, green gold, put a little bit on this. We already have the shape. We don't need a whole lot. Bring Indian yellow. Let's get them a little bit of that light, golden light into them. Now back to our permanent rose. And yes, this is in the dark, so we're gonna put this darker. A little bit here of my very diluted neutral tint. And we're gonna put some of this in shade. I drop some of that color, rinse right away, tap. Be careful you don't activate the greens. And finally, I'm gonna come with Indian yellow, fairly strong, just in the tip of my brush. And then I'm gonna put in some places like a center, and that will be probably enough for the eyes to fill it up as if they are sunflowers. Especially in these ones, they are hidden by the light. Go with that. I come with the orange and then put a little bit kind of next to it, not necessarily dead center, just to give them a little bit of volume. With a little bit of water, I tap, switch to my Perylene Scarlet, and I do the same thing for the red flowers. Tap in the center. So let's just darken this up with permanent rose. I go make them a little bit stronger. Now I'm switching to my silver Burston brush Go with a little bit of water, take most of them out, and then right next to the one that I put in dark, I'm gonna drop a little bit. I wanna lift a little, put a little bit there, go with that tissue. It's just very subtle. And we're gonna do it in a couple extra other places. So let's take a final look. I don't find that this is too sharp. However, I do find that my dark kind of toned down a little bit on the glow. So we're gonna give this a bath of more light, making a mix with the transparent orange and the queen gold. Now we had to go slightly more careful because more of the things are finished, but still it can be done. So I'm gonna give the bath to this basket and to this wall. I start with my thin brush, and then I put a glaze basically all over. Do not feel scared that if it is too dark, because watercolor always lights lighter. Yes, I am gonna put it over the pink and over the yellow as well. This is light, and the light should be hitting everything. However, in this part where I have all the very, very dark greens, I am not gonna put my yellow over them, only over the lighter areas, kind of like the flowers, because otherwise I will make a mess. These things, you don't have to be perfect and just cover as much as you can, but if a little bit of the underpainting show, that's okay too. Putting that glaze on my basket, you see how the glow is already coming stronger. So of course now I had to do it a little bit on this wall. And the important thing here is cover these little sparkles of light, but try not to disturb your darker areas as much as possible. So a little bit more on the orangey part around here, over here, a little bit farther away from the light. So for these ones I come with a little bit more pigment, and as I keep going down, I'll go back to more queen gold and a little bit less of the transparent orange. One thing that you could do now, knowing what we know, is that you could go darker at the very beginning before you apply the masking, putting your yellows stronger, so you will not have to do this. Sometimes at the very beginning it's hard when we have a whole piece of paper white and we don't have any of these strong darks to gauge how dark we need to go. But doing this is okay. It has an easy fix, a seamless transition, just like we did over there. All right, so now we're gonna allow all of this to dry and see how it looks and if we need to do anything else on that. I love it. I like the warmth of the golden hour light. The only thing that I'm gonna do now is come with my white watercolor, liquid watercolor, and then I'm just gonna brighten a couple things, right? To change any colors, I just try to put like sparkles or light here and there. And then we're gonna come with a permanent brush, brighten some of those. No need to put it in every single one, just in a couple to brighten, like I said, couple of spots. Go with a little bit of color, rinse your brush, tap, tap. We're gonna call this painting done. And as you can see, there are many different ways to handle sunlight. Some sunlight washes everything out and makes everything white. Others, like in this case, needs to have a color that spreads evenly over the whole painting in order to make sense. The Patreon will be linked below and to the pinned comment if you are interested in joining. As always, I thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.